Life is more than a spectacle. Earlier in this program, two dominant features of contemporary culture, perpetual growth and consumerism, were discussed. We now turn the focus on the effects of consumerism on the way we live our individual lives. The term consumerism is widely used, but the impact it has made on our lives is not often explored or considered. Today, the consumer culture is passively accepted as the matrix in which we live our lives. Since the middle of the 20th century, the success of new material capabilities changed the lives of people around the planet. In 1967, Guy Debord wrote a book called The Society of the Spectacle. In it, he describes the changes taking place in society and his preoccupation with entertainment, the alteration of persona, and mind-numbing substances such as alcohol and illegal drugs. He went on to trace the development of our modern societies, suggesting that society changed from an authentic social life to a social life replaced with a representation. In this representation, the consumer is preoccupied with the attainment of material success. In the so-called developed world, people succeed in acquiring material success, but the urge for more material goods is never satisfied. In the consumer society, social life is not just about living, it is also about having. And the spectacle uses images to convey what people need and must have. The lack of relationship between material success and happiness has been well documented. Material success is not correlated and does not lead to increased happiness. In the words of the Universal House of Justice of the Bahá'í Faith, to view the worth of an individual chiefly in terms of how much one can accumulate and how many goods one can consume relative to others is wholly alien to Bahá'í thought. To Baha'is, the individual is not merely a self-interested economic unit, striving to claim an ever greater share of the world's material resources. Man's merit lieth in service and virtue, Baha'u'lláh, the prophet founder, wrote over 150 years ago. Bahá'í experience has shown that by consecrating oneself to the service of others, one finds meaning and purpose in life and, at the same time, contributes to the upliftment of society itself. The hypothesis of Guy Debord's book is that the real consumer becomes a consumer of illusions. One example of an illusion involves our persona, the aspect of our character that is presented to or perceived by others. Adopting a persona involves the creation of an identity worn to represent oneself to others, or even to oneself. It is an important element of the spectacle. Altering personas through dress, hairstyles, makeup, scents, drugs, or even surgery is done largely for personal self-esteem and to present the desired persona to others. Photographs are altered regularly to make sure that the desired persona is presented. Dr. Gábor Maté, a Hungarian-born Canadian physician, describes spectacular addictions. An addiction is any behavior that is associated with craving and temporary relief that a person is not able to give up. Dr. Maté suggests that at the core of every addiction is an emptiness based in abject fear. The addict dreads and abhors the present moment. The addict craves the next time he uses the drug of choice, where he will briefly experience liberation from the burden of the past and the fear of the future, the two elements that make the present intolerable. Spectacular addictions are ineffectual efforts to fill in a spiritual black hole, where we have lost touch with our souls, our spirit, those resources of meaning and value that are not contingent or fleeting. Our consumerist acquisition, action, and image-mad culture may only sever to deepen the hole, leaving us emptier than before. The spectacle of consumerism and the illusions consumerism involves expenditures estimated at 15% of global gross domestic product, literally billions of dollars. These expenditures contribute to climate change and the destruction of the ecology of the planet. But they also distract us from the spiritual purpose of the reality in which we exist. Earlier, this program discussed two dominant features of contemporary culture: perpetual growth and consumerism. We also discussed that from an ecological point of view, we consume far too much of the Earth's resources for a sustainable future. There are options in our world to solve the current issues. If we look at the cost of the spectacle of consumerism, obvious opportunities are available to finance the necessary changes. Consider the cost of gambling, alcohol, illegal drugs, and other spectacles. It is a huge amount of money, estimated at $11 trillion. What if these resources were used for different purposes? How would that impact on our lives?